and welcome back to yet another exciting week of the Lazy Money Game. In this week's episode, we start with a story of Rolls-Royces versus Subways, and afterwards I will give an update to my portfolio, and finally I will answer a question which I have received from the audience as well. So let's immediately start with the title of this video. There is this famous saying about Wall Street that the rich people who are arriving in Rolls-Royces are actually taking advice from people who is arriving with the subway. And those rich people must believe that you get what you pay for, and nothing could actually be further from the truth when it comes to investing. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. At least this is what you believe if you are a value investor. One of the greatest examples I have seen of extreme patience when it comes to value investing is the example with Charlie Munger. He has been reading Barrons magazine, which is an investment magazine that comes out on a weekly basis and have roughly 10 investment suggestions every week. He has been reading this magazine for 50 years, and based on those 26,000 investment suggestions, he have only chosen one. That means that over a period of 5 decades, he have chosen to ignore 25,999 stock suggestions and only go with one and make an investment there. I mean, I don't even have words for how much patience this is. Most people will say this is as fun as watching paint dry. If you are interested in knowing more about what company it was that Charlie Munger bought after 50 years of reading Barrons magazine, I have of course included a link in the description below, so you can go and read more about this Tenneco deal that he did back in 2001. So this is a classical example about how patience as a value investor can be significantly rewarded if you are capable of finding anomalies in the market. If we then continue to my portfolio, the first thing we immediately notice is that there was a green circle for this week's episode. If we then go to the portfolio values tab here, then you can see that for the first time ever, my portfolio has reached the $200,000 mark. So needless to say, I'm quite happy to reach this milestone. The reason why this is not a goal is due to the fact that I have no control or no clue to what the stock market is doing in the short term, or as behaving like this voting machine, which I have discussed time and time again. But what I am quite happy to see, if we go back to the overview arc here, is that I am actually up around $35,000 since I started the portfolio, meaning a little more than 21%. And if we then continue to my favorites tab, namely the dividends tab, then we can see that April has already been treating me pretty well since I have received 3 dividends, one from South Jersey Industry, VG Properties and Merck, which has totaled a little more than $270. And now that we are on the topic of dividends and we have just seen the major milestone that I have achieved of $200,000, a natural question to ask, which I have been asked a lot by different people, is how much do you actually need to have invested in order to be financially independent? So there's one very simple way of calculating this. So if we start by going to my goals tab, my last goal is $4,000 on a monthly basis. That is actually the equivalent of receiving $48,000 on a yearly basis. What I then do is I say I need to receive $48,000, and then I divide by the estimated average yield of my portfolio. So that would give me around $1.5 million before I am truly financially independent. However, since I'm living in Denmark and I have only assumed a 15% withholding tax here, then of course you could argue that the amount of capital that I need to have invested needs to be higher in order to be truly financially independent, and you are correct. So if we Take into consideration that I pay 42% in tax, which is the highest tax bracket that you will pay for your investments, then my average yield in the portfolio would be 2.24%, meaning that I need to have invested a little more than 2.1 million US dollars. But since we have this progression limit or this threshold limit where you pay 27% in tax for the first 56,500 Danish kroner in 2021 and 57,300 in 2022, this threshold is adjusted every year. The real number would be somewhere in between these two. So if you just make it simple and assume that it would be 2 million that I need to have invested, then you can say now I am 10% of the way. And then you might say, well, if you're only 10% of the way, how do you ever expect to reach this within the next 14 years? Well, luckily for me, this is where the eighth wonder of the world, meaning compound interest, comes into play. I hope to be able to show to you that it is indeed true whenever Charlie Munger and other investment gurus tells you that it is the first $100,000 that are by far the hardest to invest. Once you have reached that, it becomes much easier from there. And that is also one of the points that I hope to be able to prove with this channel. But we will see in 14 years time, give and take, and see if that is actually possible to show. If we then go back to the overview arc here and scroll all the way to the top, just to, as always, give you the possibility to pause the video and have a closer look at how each individual stock has been performing within this week, now is your chance. If we then continue to questions from the audience, then I have received a question that goes like this. Thank you so much for this video, it's much appreciated. I have noticed that this year the system has changed quite a bit, and my question is, wouldn't it be enough just to complete the first step? Skriv til os. I've sent them an email with an annual report from my foreign broker. Isn't it enough information for the tax authorities, also considering that there were no realized gains in 2021? Thank you again for your time and content. So first of all, thank you very much for this excellent question, and I'm happy to see that you are enjoying my content. In order to try and answer your question, if you have not sold any stocks and have not had any realized gains there, then you are correct that there are something that you can skip. However, if you have received dividends, then you still need to do some reporting. And even if you have not sold a single stock and not received a single dividend, I'm not sure that they are going to accept that you are just sending them an annual overview. I'm pretty sure that you still need to fill out field 490, meaning how much was your portfolio worth at the end of the year. Since when you are using a foreign broker, you don't get this service provided by them. Even though it is stated in your annual statement, you actually still have to fill out this by yourself. I hope this answered your question. If that is not the case, I hope that you will go and take a look at episode 107. Just skip to minute 9 and 26 seconds. There you can see how I have reported this year. I know that your case is a little different, meaning if you have not had any realized gains and you haven't received a single dividend, well, at least you can still see how I'm filling out field 490, which is much simpler in your case. So that actually sums it up for yet another exciting week of the Lazy Money Game. So now that you know how Rolls-Royces and Subways are connected, and you have seen an update to my portfolio and hopefully also learned a little more about how tax reporting is done, then if you have made it all the way to the end of the video, I really hope that you will give it a like. It really helps out the channel. And until I see you next time, bye!